أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the last session, we started on evaluating formative measurement model, and we did this brief introduction of evaluation of formative measurement model. Now, in this session, we are going to look into step 1, step 2, and step 3. Now, we did add this code here. All this, we specified our measurement model, structural model. We did our PLS estimation, and then we did add this particular model here, the summary, into this summary object, and we did retrieve some descriptive statistics checked into our iterations as well. Now let's move to our step 1, that is establishing convergent validity. So the step 1 in evaluating formative measurement model is establishing convergent validity. But this is not done through AVE in case of formative measurement models. In formative measurement model evaluation, convergent validity refers to the degree to which formatively specified construct correlates with an alternative reflectively measured variable of the same concept. Now, this was originally proposed by Chen. The procedure is referred to as a redundancy analysis. To execute this procedure, the researchers must plan ahead in the research design stage. Now, once the data is collected, you cannot do convergent validity for your formative constructs. Now, why is this so? Because you need to add a global item to your questionnaire. This is the reason that you have to plan ahead in your research design stage by including an alternative measure of the formatively measured construct in your questionnaire. Now, Chia et al. In 2018 show that global single item which captures the essence of the construct under consideration is generally sufficient as an alternative measure. Now, when the model is based on secondary data, a variable measuring a similar concept would be used. Now, here et al. Suggest a correlation of formatively measured construct with the reflectively measurement item should be 0.708 or higher. Now, which implies that the construct explains more than 50% of the alternative measures variance. Now, what do we mean by global item? Now, it's an item that captures the essence of the construct that you have measured formatively. Let's say I've got vision here, that is my formative measure. Now, this vision here is measured using 4 items. Now, this is a single item measure for vision. Now, let's say these are 4 items measuring vision. In this case, for the global vision item, I have asked the respondent, let's say, in a sense, you believe in the vision of the organization. Now, this particular item here is covering the essence of all these 4 indicators. Let's say you've asked people about job satisfaction. You have asked about their maybe job security, maybe pay satisfaction, satisfaction with regards to the environment, satisfaction with regards to the co-workers. And in the end, you have added a question, let's say, in a sense, I am satisfied with my job. Now, this becomes a single item measure that covers or that has the essence of that particular satisfaction construct. Maybe that satisfaction construct is formatively measured. Let's take it for an example. Now, moving on. Now I've got this global measure. Now, how do we assess the convergent validity? How do we check this particular formative construct for convergent validity? Now we have to do redundancy analysis. How do we do our redundancy analysis? To evaluate the formatively measured constructs, we follow the formative measurement model assessment procedure that we earlier highlighted. Now, the first step is we need to examine whether the formatively measured construct exhibits convergent validity. Now, in order to do so, we need to carry out a separate redundancy analysis for each construct. Now, each of the construct is separately analyzed and then convergent validity is established. I'm just going to do it for one. You can do it for any number of them just following the same procedure. Now, the original survey contained a global single item measure with generic assessment for the formatively measured construct vision. Now, in this case, the essence of vision is stored in this global vision item that was asked, like, let's say, in a sense, I believe in the vision of the organization. Now, note that when designing a research study that includes formatively measured construct, you need to include this type of global measures in the survey. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. Now this figure shows model setup. Obviously this is your formative construct, look at the arrows, and this is your global item. This is just an example taken from the book that uses the extended corporate reputation model. Now I've done it just for one. You can do it for any number of them. Like in this case, I could have done it for development rewards as well separately. Now how to do this? Let me just copy this text here. Again, you just load the data, you create your measurement model. Again, in this case, we are interested in just single relationship between vision, which is formative, with the single item global vision. Now, since it's a single item, so we have mentioned single underscore item, and then we have given the name of the item as in the data sheet. You create your structural model whereby you're looking at the impact of obviously the formative construct on the single item. You estimate your model and you summarize your model. Now, how do we do this? Just simply copy it. Let's go here. Let's create an R script. Here it is. Just simply paste your analysis here. Again, nothing to obviously look into. We have already looked into this. Again, now what we are interested in is paths. Now, once you have got estimation here, and then that estimation is summarized using the summary function and stored in this particular object, you can use this object, and obviously the sub-object paths can be called and obviously retrieved. Just run it and look at this here. Vision and vision underscore global. The relationship is 0.818. Now that we were able to run this particular code, now let's understand this output. And what we are interested in? We are interested in this vision and vision underscore global and this 0.818. Now what do you mean by this 0.818? Let's have a look. Now in order to run the redundancy analysis, we have already done this. We have already obviously loaded the data, specified our measurement model, structural model. Finally, to identify the path between the two constructs, we need to inspect the path. The result of redundancy analysis for the 4 formatively measured construct. Now in this case, I've just done 1. For the vision construct, the analysis yields a path coefficient of this, which is above the recommended threshold of 0.708. Now this is your path coefficient. Now this must be over 0.708. Now if it's less than 0.708, then you've got issues of convergent validity. Now we do not have any issues of convergent validity. This provides support for the formatively measured construct's convergent validity. Now similarly, you can do it for other formatively measured constructs in your study as well. Next, we are going to focus on step 2, that is collinearity. Now, how do we assess collinearity for formative measurement model? Now, collinearity occurs when 2 or more indicators in a formative measurement model are highly correlated. Now, high correlation increases the standard error of indicator weights, thereby triggering type 2 errors, that is false negatives. The standard metric for assessing indicator collinearity is the variance inflation factor, VIF. When VIF values are higher, the level of collinearity is greater. Now, VIF values of 5 or above indicate collinearity problems. Now, in this case, researchers should take adequate measures to reduce the collinearity level, for example, by eliminating or merging indicators or by establishing higher order construct. Now, for further detail, please look into Here et al. 2022, Chapter 5. Collinearity diagnostics, that is your step 2. Now in the second step of assessment procedure, we check the formative measurement model's collinearity by looking at the formative indicators VIF values. The summary underscore simple object that is holding all the results can be inspected for VIF values. Now how do we inspect this? Just simply go summary underscore simple, add the $, then validity, and then $, and within this validity object here, you will have this sub-object VIF underscore items. Now note that SEMinR also provides VIF values for reflective indicators. Now if you've got reflective indicators, you will have the VIF values. However, since we expect high correlation among reflective indicators, we do not interpret these results. So we focus on VIF values of the formative indicators and we do not interpret the VIF values for reflective indicators. VIF values are uniformly below the threshold of 5. Where? Here it is. Now how do we call this? All the values are less than 5. So there are no collinearity issues. But how do we do this? It's very simple. Let's go back here. Let's come back to the model that we were building earlier. Let's do summary underscore simple at the $, and then we are interested in validity, another $, VIF underscore items. Just simply run it and look at your formative constructs. Look at this, all this. Even for reflective it is fine, but we are not interested here. We are only interested in this. All good, all less than 5. So no collinearity issues whatsoever. In the next session, we are going to get into step 3, that is indicator weights. Thank you very much.